Hi, I'm here with Ahir Shah, a stand-up comedian. He's coming to the Warwick Arts Centre this Sunday, November 25th, with his stand-up show Duffer. Ahir, how you doing?
Very well. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So I'm just going to get started. How do you find you get your inspiration, or sort of find what you want to talk about, and how you get that true to yourself? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, so this show basically came about as a result of a trip that I took to India towards the end of 2017. And basically, I think it always comes about when sort of big events happen to you or happen around you, and you want to find a way of expressing them, and humor can just be a good way of doing that, even if they are kind of dark or difficult events. So that's very much how this came about. It was a sort of trip where I got to see my grandmother, who I had grown up with in this country, but hadn't seen in a very long time because she was deported when I was 5, and I was seeing her towards the end of her life. And just lots of things were happening there and around that time that I sort of wanted to get out in some way, and humour just became the way of doing that.
I see. That's really interesting. And and obviously, have you always tended to be inspired in that sense, or do you sometimes, is it different shows will be different things? Is it always sort of something that's happened to you, or sometimes you just have a thought, there's something you really want to say?
Yeah, everything sort of begins as a vague idea on the notes section of a phone.
Yeah.
And just is like, all right, this seems like a funny angle on this particular thing, whatever that may be. And then it sort of builds up around that. So it can be, like, subject matter-wise, it can be about anything and everything, but that's how it all begins.
Yeah, brilliant. This is an interesting one. What's your worst gig? Do you have a really particular worst gig? And I think more importantly, what do you take from gigs that don't go harder?
It's well, they happen mercifully infrequently. The more and more you end up doing it.
Yeah.
But just the ones where no one laughs, mate. That's a real. Basically, there's the basic job description of a stand-up comedian is to achieve one thing, and when you don't achieve that thing, it is quite. It's like being a bus driver who's forgotten how to drive.
Yeah. Brilliant. So you, I'm assuming, had quite a good Edinburgh Fringe. You were nominated for the second year in a row for the Edinburgh Comedy Award, deservedly so, may I say.
Yeah, thank you.
So when you're in Edinburgh, obviously you're performing the same show night after night, and then when you finish Edinburgh, you take it on tour often, like you have. How do you try and keep things fresh when you're doing the same things so repetitively?
Well, I think the trick is to never do it entirely repetitively, right? Because otherwise, you feel like you feel like an actor who is performing a monologue written by Ahir Shah.
Yeah.
Again and again and again. Whereas if you're a stand-up, and so you kind of want to sort of like inhabit the thing a bit more.
Yeah.
And because people can tell, and I've seen this as an audience member, and you'll have seen this as well. You know when a comedian's told a joke one too many times or what have you, and they've just gone a bit dead behind the eyes, and they're not feeling it, and you feel like you're watching a bit of a monologue, not a bit of stand-up. You're not in the room with it, and the reaction is never as good.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's just like important to keep like little things a bit different every time you do it, and particularly when it's going on tour, for example. So in Edinburgh it was just an hour straight through. On tour it's sort of 2 45-minute halves, a bit more of a proper theatre show. And I like trying to incorporate like, this is what happened to me today, and let's just talk about that for a little while, and so that we can properly feel like we're in this moment.
Yeah, you try and make
with a thing that'll never happen again.
Yeah, so the audience feels like they've got something special and a unique experience.
Yeah, because
To an
that's,
extent.
that's a much nicer way. Sorry, I forgot that this was a radio interview rather than something that was going to be written down, so I'm just like
No
banging on
worries.
an electronic cigarette during the thing, which is very not particularly professional. But
Oh, that doesn't matter.
I'm also not dressed, so that's not particularly professional either.
Neither am I. So after an Edinburgh Fringe, what do you try and take from a Fringe? Because you've done a few now at this point. And obviously, you go on tour. You had a sold-out Soho run, which was for this show. But apart from necessarily doing more shows, taking the show further, on a maybe more personal level, or in how it develops you as a stand-up overall.
Well, I think that basically you hopefully build something that you're proud of, and then sort of just want to get that out to as many people as you possibly can. So that's the thing that I'm basically in the middle of now.
Yeah.
And eventually you have to start thinking about next steps, and are you going to make another one, and what shape is that going to take? But for the time being, it being like, still 2018, not necessarily thinking about next year in a full sense yet.
Yeah.
For the time being, I'm just enjoying the fact that this is hopefully going to be able to get out to a bunch more people, and hopefully be able to connect with them in a nice way, and hopefully be able to sustain its relevance when performing it as well.
Brilliant. It's been amazing. It was lovely seeing you on the MASH report. I know you're a writer on that as well, and it's been really, you're very funny on it. And I was just wondering, sort of, when you, on that level, doing more almost sketches, or it's a different type. It's not necessarily stand-up. And on TV, what do you take from that experience that you can try and put anything into your stand-up, if anything?
I don't know. It's kind of just a different beast, really, but one that's just sort of fun to do. The MASH thing sort of ended up happening vaguely by accident. Nish and I have been very good friends for many years now.
Yeah.
So it started off with me sort of, I'm in the writer's room with him and a couple of others, Tommy and Sarah Campbell, really, really great comic writers, who we just sort of sit batting around ideas for the monologues and those sorts of things, and then getting more involved in a on-screen thing sort of happened sideways as a result of that. So yeah, there's never any sort of direct plan for this is how this could influence this, or but it's just sort of a fun thing to see how it goes.
It's brilliant. So there's a Coldie Society at Warwick University, which I'm a part of, and we have a radio show. And part of the thing when we do interviews on that show is we ask our guest to tell us a joke, just sort of a favourite joke they've heard, not necessarily one of their own. Could you tell us a joke?
Damn, now I really want to think of a good one. Hold on, you can. This is good because you can edit out my humming and eyeing as I try and think who I'm going to. Also, it has to not be rude.
Clean would be best.
Right. I want to think of a joke by Sean McLaughlin, who is a friend of mine, and also, I think, one of my favourite comedians working at the moment. I think that he is one of the most gifted people,
Yeah, he's a brilliant stand-up.
certainly in the UK at the moment, and is doing very, very well. You desperately need to think of one that doesn't have any swearing in it. Yeah. I think, like, Sean's just got a lovely way with imagery. So he describes stuff as, like, being so poor that he, like, eats porridge off the quay. Yeah. There's one. I finally remembered a proper one.
Excellent.
Of Sean's. Whereas, so it's a Sean McLaughlin joke, and it's like, I've turned 30, and I've got a lot of friends who are like, oh, I don't feel 30. I don't feel 30. And what does it matter whether you feel like, just because you don't feel something doesn't mean that you aren't that thing. I don't feel like a tax avoider.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
Got there in the end.
Yeah, I know it's a cheeky thing to ask. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Ahir.
No worries, man.
Yeah, so make sure if you're around Warwick, or even if you're not, to get down to the Warwick Arts Centre on Sunday, November 25th, to see Ahir Shah Duffer. I definitely will.
If you're around
much,
Warwick,
mate.
you'll struggle because it's in Coventry.
Yes, in Coventry. Sorry, it's at the Warwick University.
Huge amount of denial.
Yeah, but just disguise it. Oh, really?
Yeah, so spent several years when I was younger just visiting with my parents, being like, why is this nowhere near Warwick? It's fine. I mean, it's not the weirdest one. I was once at the London campus of the University of Sunderland.
Wow.
Weird stuff happens. Yeah.
That's something else. Was that for, what was that for?
A really bad gig.
Oh, that sounds like a place where you're going to have a great gig. I don't know what would have happened. All right, brilliant. Thank you so much, Ahir.
Imagine you just like laughed really extensively at that, and I was just like, "That's where I met my wife."
Oh no! Then I would feel awful.
Yeah.
Then I'd feel really bad. All right, I'll let you get on with your busy day.
Cool. Yeah, man.
Thank you so much, man. It was lovely to chat to you.